All right. And I'm going to go from one end of my WCC standings to the other end of the WCC standings, and that's Pepperdine. Pepperdine goes into this year on full reset mode. They were 13-20 last year, 5-11 in the WCC. They let go of head coach Lorenzo Romar, and after his departure, it was a mass exodus from the roster. Only 2 players do return, 14 newcomers for this Pepperdine squad, with head coach Ed Schilling, which is his first year at the helm. He had 13 years as an assistant at UMass, Memphis, UCLA, Indiana, and he was at Grand Canyon the last few years, helping them actually reach the NCAA tournament for the first time. And obviously they reached in back-to-back seasons and then beat St. Mary's last season to pick up their first NCAA tournament win. They were the WAC conference champions the last couple of years. He's had a ton of, among the stops, again, talk about Indiana, UCLA. While he was at UCLA, they made 3 Sweet 16 appearances in 14, 15, and 17. A ton of experience also just with NBA level players. He sent 9 players to the NBA while he was at UCLA. So there's some optimism with Pepperdine and where this direction is going to go, really talking on the development front. Because if you're talking about schools like Pepperdine or San Diego or Portland, like, it is really about developing the young pieces that are going to be able to fit into this system as you try to rebuild what this program is going to look like moving forward. And it's program building for this spot, for Pepperdine, for Ed Schilling right now. And he does bring in some pieces that I do like. First and foremost was bringing in Mo Odom, who was at Pacific a year ago. One of the better point guards in the league. 4.6 assists, which was third in the WCC. 2.5 was his assist to turnover ratio, which is also third in the WCC. 8.7 points per game. I really like him as being that table setter, being that guy who's going to run the offense. They also brought in a number of wing players who are going, I think, have great opportunity to do a lot of to get some chances, because I think a number of these guys just have not had that opportunity in recent years. So Aaron Clark, one of those guys coming over from Wake Forest, former 4-star recruit, was ranked 91 nationally by Rivals and 102 on 3. He only played 7 games last season, but just looking on tape, good shooter. This is someone who's going to help them on the offensive end. So, only a sophomore, so someone who can grow into this program. Javon Cooley coming over from Marist, another guy who is going to, I think, help them a lot. Shot 54% from the field last season, 47% from 3. He was ranked second in the MAC in 3-point percentage. Coming in as a grad transfer, so this is someone who is experienced on the college basketball level, someone who's going to be able to kind of teach these younger players how to actually get it done at the collegiate level and on a consistent basis. Zion Bethea is another interesting piece. He had limited action last season at Delaware, but the season before, he was part of the last team at St. Francis Brooklyn, which disbanded their athletic department after the season. He played 28 games, averaged 10 points per game, a little over a steal a game, 42% from 3, so another good shooter that Ed Schilling is bringing in for this team. Another familiar face to WCC people is going to be Stefan Todorovic, who's coming over from USF. And he got limited playing time while he was with the Dons, 22 games. He averaged only 3.8 points per game. But this is another shooter, another wing player that they're going to be able to kind of mix and match and use his versatility to really, I think, stretch this lineup out and give them some options. He did score a season high of 17 points last year, so this is someone who can get you a bucket and could be one of those options. An interesting piece I saw as I was looking through the roster and everything else is Taj Auduke. This is someone, 6'3" freshman guard out of Canada who is one of the top point guards in his class. 24 points per game in his senior year, 6.4 assists, 5.9 rebounds. This is someone who scored 52 in his senior night. Also, he played for Canada's U16 squad. He was on the 2021 FIBA Americas Championship and helped Team Canada to a third place finish. So someone who's played at a higher level, someone who is capable of really giving you different looks. And I think like between the number of guards I've kind of started to throw out there, they have options. And I think that's something that Pepperdine just needs right now. Options. What are you going to look like moving forward? Which pieces fit where? And it's going to be trial by fire, I think, a lot for the Waves going into the non-conference. But one of the two pieces that did come back that should at least that is going to give them some level of stability is Boubacar Coulibaly, the former USC transfer who has been at Pepperdine for the last couple seasons, 6'10" forward, redshirt senior. He only got to get in 11 games last season before he went down with an injury, but he was averaging 8.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, shooting nearly 60% from the field. Also was leading the team in blocks at 1.7 per game for a Pepperdine team that was not a good defensive team. And this was the one guy who gave them something on that end, who gave them a different look, someone who could actually protect the rim because nobody else on that Pepperdine team was able to do it last year. So the fact that they at least have one guy on this squad who's going to be able to do that is incredibly helpful. The other thing is that this is just scrolling through this roster, this is not a very big team. Like this is going to be a fairly small team, like not a huge number of guys. Like just scrolling through, there's only like 2 or 3 guys who are going to be, or 3 players above 6'9" or 6'9" and above. So it's going to be a team that's, I think, going to struggle on the rebounding front. I think it's a team that's going to struggle on the protecting the rim most of the time. But I think this is going to be a team that's going to have more cohesive options than maybe they did a year ago. They had so much talent a year ago, and I think we talked about how much those having the talent but not picking up the wins, not seeing it all be put together was frustrating with Pepperdine a year ago. Seeing Houston Millett, seeing Javon Porter, seeing Niles Cooper, seeing just these great talented players for Pepperdine, but not be able to put it together and get wins. It was mind-boggling, frustrating, whatever you want to say. It's somehow they didn't work together. Somehow the pieces didn't quite fit. And I think that is now the goal. It's like maybe you're going to have guys that aren't quite as talented, at least in the early going, but maybe they're going to be more cohesive. Maybe these are pieces that are going to work better together to be able to kind of help this team out. And in the non-conference, like they're going to have plenty of opportunity to just kind of get their feet on the ground, get some momentum going. The two big ones that really are kind of like on their schedule, it's like you look at it, it's like they're at UNLV, at Northwestern, New Mexico State will be an interesting one, but then like really a lot of like Big West teams that they should be capable of competing with and beating. And then they dive in the WCC play, and this is a team I just do not see ready to take on that challenge. I think this is the team that's going to finish last in the WCC, which was also what the coaches said. And it really is just about getting better and growing as a team this season. Figuring out what the system is, what the personality is, what is that signature going to be for the Waves moving forward under Ed Schilling? What are the goals going forward? Because that right now, it's obviously not winning a conference. It's obviously not finishing top half of the league. You got to start somewhere. Much like Pacific, like these Pacific and Pepperdine are in a very similar situation where they're just trying to piece it back together and gain some level of confidence, legitimacy that they can point this thing in the right direction and that we are going to see good things from these programs moving forward. And as of right now, I think this is the team that was hurt by the portal the most. And it was also the team that I don't think was able to capitalize on the portal, or it's the team that was able to capitalize on the portal the least in the offseason, them and San Diego. And it is why I have both San Diego and Pepperdine there at the bottom together. So with a lot of young players, a lot of youth, new system, and a program that needs to just kind of turn it in the right direction. This might be the big rough patch right in this first season. But if they can figure out how to turn it around and gain some level of momentum and hold on to some of the pieces that work. This is a Pepperdine program that we know can bring in talent we know they can bring in talent. We've seen it over the years. It's a matter of, can they put it all together and actually get some wins out of this group for a program and an athletic department that is trying to that is doing some big things on campus and is trying to point this thing in the positive way.